Yeah, it's a bit of a jerky getaway there for Rubens. He just seems so serene this weekend, almost too serene. He's been cruising around, happy to talk to anybody and driving really beautifully, but a bit tardy away there, and that certainly won't give him a chance to slingshot Frentzen, although I'm looking to see what kind of traffic Frentzen does have in his view.
So there is Rubens. You can tell the difference between the two Ferraris, incidentally, by the yellow flashes on the extremities of the front wing and on the roll bar over the airbox, and you certainly need them. He's coming up to Jenson Button now. This is going to be interesting to see how the young Englishman in his first Grand Prix in the BMW Williams, it's their first Grand Prix together, copes with new boy at Ferrari, Rubens Barrichello. And Barrichello is in his 113th Grand Prix, despite his comparatively tender age of 27.
I think when it all shakes out, Button is ahead of Barrichello this time with the pit stop. Remember, with that safety car earlier in the race, it reformed the pack, so it's not a traditional situation where they make a regular stop and come back out in a predictable position on the racetrack. So I think you'll find Barrichello shakes out actually behind Jenson at this point in the race.
Jenson is going jolly well, but the important thing for him in this race is not so much position, but above everything else, to get some race mileage in. He's had comparatively little testing in the Williams because they've had a lot of development problems with the engine in particular. They had rain in South Africa when they went out to Kyalami for a full week, and Jenson is definitely light on mileage. So the deeper into this race he can get, and preferably to finish it, the better off he will be for the future events. And he's in 9th place now. As Martin has correctly pointed out, the Rubens Barrichello, as a result of that pit stop, is in 10th position. So Button moved up a place, and Rubens Barrichello has dropped from 3rd to 10th.
Yes, that's cost Rubens badly, that poor getaway, put him behind yet another car. James, what can you tell us about Barrichello?
Well, Martin, you know, I'm just looking at this, and it's very strange because for one normal one-stop fuel load, you wouldn't get it away in 8 seconds, and that's really all that Rubens was stationary for. What I'm thinking has happened here, because we had the safety car 3 or 4 laps out there, they told Rubens to run the car really lean. He's stuck behind Frentzen. He doesn't seem to be able to get past him. He's been conserving fuel for the last 10 or 15 laps. So, of course, he comes in. They put in a very short fill, hoping to get him out early so he can put the hammer down. But, of course, he messed up the getaway. So it may well be, but, of course, it messes up his chances of getting ahead of Frentzen. Just a theory, but it might be the case.
Yeah, I guess you'd never choose a Ferrari as a getaway car necessarily. Attracts too much attention. But all jokes aside, Barrichello there certainly cost himself dearly. And let's see what times Jenson's doing. Low, 1 minute 34s. Ralf Schumacher, 33.4. So he's still lapping 36 laps into the race, within 6/10 of Ralf. So his fitness...
Off goes the Jordan. And it's Jarno Trulli from 3rd position. Now Button is actually running 7th at the moment, or he was. Now he's in 6th position. Jenson Button is in a position at the moment, and it's a long way still to go, to score a World Championship point in his first race. Jarno Trulli blows it in his first race for Jordan. Disconsolately walks away from the car out of the gravel trap. Here it is.
I think it's going to be a mechanical failure, not a driving error though, Murray. Yeah, look, the engine's letting go and locking the rear wheels. You have to get the clutch buried very quickly, and then the hydraulic pressure fades away, and that's an oil fire at the back of the car there. As you know, it then quickly burns itself out, and in comes Frentzen for his stop. Frentzen from the lead of this Grand Prix. We're assuming now he was just 14 seconds ahead of Michael Schumacher, and it's about a 28-second total cost to come in the pit lane. So Michael Schumacher will regain the lead. The big story is, where will Barrichello end up? Will he end up in front of or behind Frentzen? My guess is behind. Let's see what sort of job Jordan can do there. Look, they've got a refueling problem. Look, the refueler's not gone on yet. It's not even on at all, so this plays beautifully into Barrichello's hands, and they're still shaking their heads. They can't get the refueler started. It looks like it may be putting fuel in now. The car must be getting so hot sitting there. 23 seconds, so disastrous stop for the Jordan team.
Hear this! Lap 37. Michael Schumacher leads. Jacques Villeneuve is in second position. Ralf Schumacher in the BMW Williams is third. And Jenson Button is in fourth position. Incredible! Rubens Barrichello is in fifth place. Frentzen, there he is, fighting hard to recover what was the lead and is now very, very much down the field for him. This race is getting red hot. Race leader.
Well, we've seen the other Jordan go out with a smoky engine, and certainly sitting there for that amount of time for Frentzen will not have done his engine any favours whatsoever. I wouldn't want to put any money on who's going to be on the podium this afternoon, Murray. Still such a long way to go and so many dramas.
Yeah, we've still got 22 laps to go, including the one that Michael Schumacher is concluding right now. Well, all you can say is, as I've said before, that Ferrari have up to now had reliability on their side. Michael Schumacher's now on his 38th lap, and it could be that Jacques Villeneuve is not only going to score his first points for BAR and BAR's first points after a terrible 1999, but he's going to be in second. No, he's not, because Ralf Schumacher is now up into second position as into the pits comes Villeneuve. There is the proof in front of you. And I saw one of the BMWs coming in. There is Jenson Button coming in for his race stop.
That's the first ever pit stop of his career. So his Grand Prix career, of course. In fact, I think it's the first, probably the first racing pit stop of his in career, full stop. And a good one it was too for the Williams team on 11 seconds dead. Jenson over the white line now. He can press the button, get rid of the speed limiter and accelerate towards the first corner.
New boots, take it easy, Jenson. Remember, the grip characteristics will be different in the car now from the older tyres that you just got rid of. But on lap 38, Michael Schumacher seems only to have to keep going to win the Australian Grand Prix for the first time. But I dare not make any promises. I hardly dare speculate, because, as I said, BMW, who are entirely new to Grand Prix racing since they left it so long ago when Nelson Piquet won with a Brabham BMW Turbo the World Championship in when was it? 3. But they're looking mighty good at the present moment as Ralf Schumacher follows his teammate Jenson Button in for a pit stop. He follows in from second position. Now that means that Barrichello will definitely move up into second place in the Ferrari. And we better just let this round of pit stops develop and the race calm down a bit so that we can see exactly how everything has settled. Oh, there's a lot of problems. I was wondering if it was a heat problem. But it's not all that hot. 24 degrees air temperature. Ralf Schumacher, who finished third last year, going well, and we've got news from Louise Goodman.
Yeah, disastrous couple of laps for the Jordan team there. As you rightly surmised, Martin, that was an engine problem for Trulli. And then, of course, Frentzen, the refuelling problem, that was a stuck nozzle. That's obviously a serious blow to Hip's hopes of repeating last year's result when it was all going so well for the team. Bad news for Jordan.
Thank you, Louise. That 11-second stop for Jenson worked out just fine. It's actually put him ahead of Zonta and particularly Salo. Salo must have had some kind of drama. So Jenson in 7th place. Ralf Schumacher, we haven't really seen. He's got to complete his outlap yet. I suspect that's going to put him down around 5th place.
Well, things have got to settle down, but quickly, here are the first 6 on lap 39. Schumacher leading Barrichello now. Ferrari first and second. Ralf Schumacher's been into the pits. Frentzen third, Villeneuve fourth, Fisichella in 5th position, and Jenson Button is in 6th place. Time for a break. Lap 1:41, 17 to go. Michael Schumacher has slowed down a lot. There is Frentzen. We think he is coming in to retire from the race. He slowed down so much. He's got a gearbox problem. That has been the Achilles heel of the Jordan car, this year's car, in testing, and it looks as though it struck again, if an Achilles heel can strike. Michael Schumacher, then Ferrari leads. Rubens Barrichello, Ferrari, 11 seconds behind him and speeding up to close the gap. Ralf Schumacher in the BMW Williams is third, Villeneuve is fourth, Fisichella is fifth, and the second BMW Williams of Jenson Button is in the points in sixth place. Ricardo Zonta is in seventh place ahead of Mika Salo. Wurz is ninth. Frentzen was 10th, but now Deniz will be. There are only 13 cars left with 17 laps to go out of the 22 who started. It is now a question of reliability.
Rubens Barrichello setting the fastest lap of the race on a 1:31.4, some 4 seconds faster than Michael Schumacher. Don't really understand why Michael's backing off quite so much. They do have a 40-second cushion back to the next runner, which is now Ralf Schumacher in the Williams. So I assume when Rubens gets up to the back of Michael, he won't be able to do anything about it. He'll have to follow him. But Michael's looking in his mirror there to see where he is. But why is he going quite so slowly?
Well, has he got a problem? You remember the last year when Irvine was number 2 in the Ferrari team, he was number 2. And if he was in front of Schumacher, he had to move over and let him through. Now, Rubens Barrichello has made great play out of the fact that he's not number 2, he's 1B. And he has not got to give way to Schumacher, but has Schumacher got to give way for him if Barrichello is in a faster car? I very much doubt it. Schumacher now on his 43rd lap, and Barrichello looks as though he's going to be making one of the quickest laps of the race. In fact, the gap is down to 4.8 seconds. If it continues at this rate, in about 3 or 4 laps' time, we're going to see the two Ferraris absolutely together, and that is going to raise a very, very interesting political situation.
Yes, Michael's pace is matching everybody else, plus a little bit on the racetrack, with the exception of Barrichello cruising up behind him in second place. Jenson just 0.6 of a second behind Fisichella and lapping faster, so there'll be a squabble there for 5th place quite soon. Behind Jenson, Zonta and a recovering Salo we didn't see, but he must have had a very poor pit stop. Salo, who was running so well, lost out quite badly in the stops. That's a Minardi cruising in the background.
That's Mazzarcane, the Argentine driver, in his first race. He's in 11th position. Incidentally, he's been a heck of a lot better than anybody expected him to be. No one had ever heard of him. He'd had a very undistinguished career up to Formula One, but he was really outstandingly good in the practicing and qualifying sessions, and looked worthy of a position in the Formula One team in a very much improved Minardi. Now here is Rubens Barrichello, who is lapping 2 seconds a lap faster than Michael Schumacher, with the gap now 4.8 seconds. In 2 laps, he's going to be with the boss. Schumacher is third, Ralf Schumacher. Villeneuve is fourth. A BAR going to get their first points. Fisichella in the new Benetton, designed by Tim Demcham, a much simpler car than last year's, running well in 5th position. 2 BMW Williams in the top 6, because Jenson Button is still 6th. Now here are the retirements again. Both Jaguars, Herbert and Irvine, out. Both Arrows out, De La Rosa and Verstappen. Both McLarens out. Coulthard and Hakkinen. Lacey is out. Trulli is out. And, of course, Frentzen is out, so that's both Jordans.
Well, I'll be amazed if anything other happens than Barrichello just cruises to not much closer than that.
Here they are.
And then just holds station. I don't believe Michael's got a problem particularly. They've got such a cushion, and this is a McLaren game, really, pacing themselves at the front of a Grand Prix with an easy 1-2, apparently, in their pocket. James, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Martin, still 15 laps to go in this race, of course, don't forget. So anything can happen in that situation. Down here in the Ferrari garage, they are absolutely calm, very sanguine. Michael, they say, has absolutely no problem at all. My gut feeling is I think Rubens is trying to do a bit of showboating. He wants to get as close as he can to Michael to show that, you know, he's on the pace, he's right there, he's with Michael Schumacher going into this championship, whereas perhaps Eddie Irvine in the past might have been 40 seconds back at the end of a race. Rubens is going to be right with him. Help with a safety car, of course, but nevertheless, it's it's Ferrari looking pretty comfortable at the front at the moment. But as I say, 15 laps to go yet.
Well, that 1 minute 31.4 of Rubens certainly proved your point there, James. But I think Michael has got it pretty much under control in the front. Remember, this is a tough track on brakes, particularly. We've seen Frentzen was going to win this race in '97. Brakes exploded. So they've got no reason. I'm a bit surprised they let Rubens push quite so hard. They've got no reason, really, to go any faster than they are. And it does appear now that Barrichello has just positioned himself a reasonable distance behind Michael. The worst case scenario is Michael having a technical failure or a driving error and taking the pair of them out if they get too close.
And wouldn't they be popular with each other if that happened? Now let's ride with Barrichello and look at the master in the front. Michael Schumacher at work for Ferrari, seemingly on his way to his 36th Grand Prix victory out of the 127 Grand Prix he will have driven in by the conclusion of this one. Now, Barrichello, new to Ferrari. If he finishes second to Michael Schumacher, he can be very proud of himself. As I said earlier on, I understand that there's been a sellout at Sao Paulo for the Brazilian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. If Rubens Barrichello goes there, not only as Brazil's first Ferrari driver, but second in his first race only to Michael Schumacher, and he goes into the lead. That is, wow! I was going to say, I think they'll deify him. I think they certainly will now. Michael Schumacher must have a problem, because there was no hesitation then whatsoever.
No, hold on. He's got to stop again for gas. James was right.
Well
Didn't put enough fuel in it. They've got to let Rubens get down the road. He's probably got a bit of a quick stop at the end, a quick flash of fuel, and that's the only reason I can put on it.
Well spotted, James. Thank you, Martin. But
we'll see if it's right yet.
That's certainly a dramatic development, whichever way you slice it. On lap 46 out of 58. Ferrari leads, Ferrari second, but not in the order we expected. Yeah, Ferrari, I've just heard, in fact I can see them out of the window, the massed cohorts of Ferrari, and it's Barrichello. I can see one of them carrying a board which has got Barrichello on it. So Rubinho, as he is known not only in Brazil but everywhere else, and a very, very popular chap he is too, coming in for fuel. Now, Ralf Schumacher is 37 seconds behind him, so Barrichello will have plenty of time to take on a sort of splash and dash, come out into the track again in second position, and there he is coming into the pit lane. Are you there, James? No, he's not.
He's got a way to go yet. The white line going over now for the speed limiter, but well spotted there, James, on that short field. They obviously changed strategy halfway through the race to try and leapfrog him over Frentzen. He had a bad pit stop, but Frentzen had an even worse one. James is there now. Yeah, I spoke to Rubens yesterday. I said, I bet you're looking forward to benefiting from one of those Ross Brawn race strategies. And he looked at me in the eye and he said, you betcha. Very, very short fill. 7.9, completely normal. Everybody here is absolutely as calm as you like. It was exactly part of the strategy to get Barrichello past Frentzen, and marvellous.
Well, Michael Schumacher has been saying all along prior to this race, it is absolutely essential for us at Ferrari, if we are to do well in the World Championship this year against a team as strong and as experienced and as successful as McLaren, with their driver partnership of Hakkinen and Coulthard, to get points early. We haven't done that in the past. We've suffered. We've caught McLaren in the latter parts of the season, but we need to be with them, if not ahead of them, at the beginning of the season. Well, at the present moment, on lap 47, with 11 to go, Ferrari are on a maximum 16 Constructors' Championship points. 10 for Schumacher, 6 for Barrichello, and of course, as out of the race goes Jenson Button. Well, that is but it looks to me as though it's not his fault. It's some sort of a problem. Look at the smoke from the back of the car. And he can say with enormous pride, that he was in the points for a lot of the race. There it is. There's the confirmation. You see, there is Villeneuve going through, and Villeneuve behind him, Fisichella. That's how close it was, because there is Zonta going past Jenson Button as he parks the Williams, and the rear wheels lock up. So definitely not Jenson's problem. I think there's a little hard work probably to do in Munich, and unless in the very unlikely event of the gearbox locking up. Well done, Jenson Button.
Brilliant performance from Button, it has to be said. His pace was good, it didn't fade away as the race went on. He was mixing it with some more experienced drivers, and I have to say, a very, very impressive debut for Jenson Button.
Now that means that this is an embarrassment of riches for the BAR team. Not that I think they will be the least bit embarrassed by it after the appalling season they had last year, but both their drivers are now in the points, with Jacques Villeneuve in 4th position and Ricardo Zonta from Brazil in the second BAR in 6th position. And it means to say that there are only 10 cars left now with Button out of the running, and they are on lap 48. There is the leader, Michael Schumacher. He's 26 seconds ahead of Rubens Barrichello after Rubens' second stop. Ralf Schumacher is 9 seconds behind Barrichello and lapping faster, but I think not fast enough to catch him in the remaining distance. Jacques Villeneuve is in 4th place, 16 seconds behind Ralf Schumacher. Fisichella looks as though he's going to score 2 points for Benetton, and he might even score 3 because he's right behind Jacques Villeneuve's BAR, and Ricardo Zonta is 6th. So there is Ralf Schumacher. He turns in, we disappear, but we will be back. Lap 50, 8 to go, including the one they are on. Michael Schumacher, a commanding lead of just over 24 seconds from his teammate, Rubens Barrichello. Sadly, Jenson Button out of the race, which looked like an engine problem when he was about to score a point in his first World Championship race. He can feel very, very proud of himself. BMW can feel very, very proud of themselves, because I don't think even in their wildest moments they would have expected to score points.
Did you catch a load of that, Murray? Schumacher well out of shape in the first corner. Unbelievable. He's just having fun, I think, but I bet he won't do that again next time around. Look, gets on the throttle and has to give it a full half a turn on the steering wheel, which is a lot in a Formula 1 car, to put it. So I think he's just bored, probably.
Well, I was saying that BMW can feel very proud of themselves to be in the points, and they are, because although Button is out, Schumacher, Ralf is very much in. Not only is he in, but he's lapping marginally faster than Rubens Barrichello in front of him. Although I'm pretty sure that's because Barrichello, knowing that there is a 9-second cushion between them, will not be pushing as hard as he could.
Here's that scrap, Murray, look. This is Villeneuve, Fisichella. Salo has now passed Zonta. Salo is up into 6th place. And this is the scrap. Villeneuve, Fisichella, Salo, Zonta and Wirtz. And they're covered by just 2 and a little bit seconds.
And Villeneuve there is 4th. There's Fisichella 5th. Salo 6th. Zonta is in 7th position and Wirtz behind him in 8th place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars as quickly as you can say. It's battling for 4th position. Wonderful scrap, and this is the 51st lap of a 58-lap race.
Yeah, I'd like to see a replay of how Salo made it past Zonta, actually. We haven't seen too much overtaking this afternoon. Be interesting to see where and how he was able to do it. Good performance from Salo today. As I said, I think he lost out in the pit stop somewhere, but he's getting it back up into the points. And at the moment, BAR look like they could be in for their first ever World Championship point. Here we go, look, we have got a replay. Salo taking a dive up, I think that's into turn 9. Good move there, made it stick, kept his line, and off he goes.
a pretty experienced chap now, of course, Mika Salo. This is his 77th Grand Prix. He's driven for Tyrrell, he's driven for Lotus, he's driven for Ferrari, he's driven for BAR, now he's with Sauber, and he's not only pushing past Zonta, as he has done, but he's closing up on Fisichella, looking for 2 points and not just one, because Salo now in the Sauber with a very strong Ferrari engine has undoubtedly got more power than Fisichella, and he's looking for that place. There he is, number 17. There's Zonta, there is Wurz. So both the Benettons are there, and Wurz is just 2 places off a point. There's 2 other runners left in this race. Marc Genet is in 9th place in the Minardi, and Nick Heidfeld is still running in the Prost in his first Grand Prix, 10th and last. So there have been 12 retirements. Lap 52.
Mika Salo getting a little bit ragged through 3, 4 and 5 there, but he's clearly the man on the move in that pack. He'd like to get up behind his great friend Jacques Villeneuve, who's currently running in 4th place. Sparkling performance here from Mika Salo. Look at the dust pouring off of his front brakes as he nails the middle pedal and tries to dump some speed, turns in nicely. That car's handling well.
The thing that's interesting me is the situation that BMW have not got one of the very latest, very small, very light engines for their return to Formula One, and Honda have, and Ralf Schumacher in the BMW Williams is ahead of Villeneuve in 4th position. He's ahead of Zonta in 6th position. And it's not as though Jacques Villeneuve is a dusty driver. This is the world champion of 1997 that we're looking at leading this batch. There's Fisichella. Tim Gentian, who designed this car, can be very proud of himself.
Yes, and Villeneuve making a mistake there into turn 14 too. We saw him lock up a wheel, but still heading the pack up as they come over the line. There's 6/10 back to Fisichella, another ½ second back to Salo, Zonta, and then Wurz. You can see in your picture now.
Now, this is why these Grand Prix drivers have to be so superlatively fit. This race has been running an hour and a half. The temperature is some 30 degrees. The cockpits are very hot indeed. They're wearing heavy, fireproof suits. They're cocooned in those cockpits. They've got an 800 horsepower, very, very, very hot engine behind them. And they've been working madly ever since the race began.
Yeah, first time we've seen Zonta looking like a Grand Prix driver, really. Had a poor year last year, didn't help by breaking his leg, of course, in Brazil. But he really looks, for the first time, even this weekend also, that he's actually with the car and not just one step behind it.
It was Ricardo Zonta went out of the Australian Grand Prix last year, as did his teammate Jacques Villeneuve, who broke a wing not so very far away from where he is at the moment. There it's the BAR of Villeneuve, the white car in 4th position. Then Fisichella's blue Benetton, Salo's dark blue Sauber Ferrari, a light blue Benetton of Wurz, following the white car of Ricardo Zonta in 7th place. If Zonta could get past Salo, who's passed him, it would mean that both the BARs were in the points at the end of the race if they finish it.
Yes.
Michael Schumacher is on lap 54 out of 58, 23 seconds ahead of Barrichello, with Ralf Schumacher still 3rd.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen because Salo's the one that just overtook Zonta, but Salo still very much on the move. There's a great helicam shot there as these guys move into the final stages of the Melbourne Grand Prix. And the gaps are still pretty consistent. Salo registered just 0.3 of a second behind Fisichella last time around.
Well, Jordan won't be ringing any joy bells, McLaren won't be ringing any joy bells, nor will Arrows. It's been a bad race for all those teams, an even worse one for Jaguar. But great things can have small beginnings, and I know that Jaguar and all the rest of them will be applying themselves in the next 2 weeks. There's only 2 weeks before Brazil. It was 5 weeks between Australia and Brazil last year. The pressure is on this season right from the beginning with 17 races, the extra one at Indianapolis in America.
All of these cars are on the lead lap. Of course, as I mentioned before, the safety car shuffled them back up around lap 15. But with Michael just cruising at the front, 2 McLarens out of the picture completely. Unusually, almost nobody's been lapped in this race. Just Genet and Heidfeld, who've both had problems in 9th and 10th place, that have been lapped.
Well, this is great stuff, but interestingly, Ralf Schumacher in the BMW Williams is by far the fastest man on the track at the moment. He's lapping a second faster than Schumacher, a second faster than Barrichello. He's closed the gap to Barrichello to 8 seconds, but there are not enough laps left for him to catch him, never mind get past him. Villeneuve continues to hold that 4th position. Fisichella, there he is behind him in 5th position. Salo trying to get past. Zonta trying to get to grips with the Sauber in front of him. And Alexander Wurz keeping a watching brief on all of them. These places could change in the twinkling of an eye. And there are 4 laps left, including the one they are on. I remind you that Michael Schumacher is still out there, still leading, looking good for 10 World Championship points.